She's an actor who's popped up in a number of things. Most recently, last year, she was in an episode of Virgin River. But most people probably know her as the character Dawn from the show School Spirits that came out on Paramount Plus back in 2023. Welcome to the program, RaeAnne Boon.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. Of course, 2023 School Spirits came out on Paramount Plus, and people really fell in love with the character of Dawn. You only appeared in 4 episodes, but really, it's just people really enjoyed her. What is it that you think people really like got attached to Dawn for? What is it about that character?
I think Dawn's kind of the perfect mix of being a little quirky, offbeat, silly character, but she also has so much heart to her and so much innocence and vulnerability. And I think that's kind of the perfect mix into finding a character that, the majority of our audience is teens, that teens relate to. I still get messages all the time from people saying, I relate to Dawn so much. Feel seen by her. And that was something I really wasn't expecting when I did the show to happen. But I think people just relate to her and what she went through in her life back in the 70s.
Yeah, it always amazes me when talking to people who work on TV shows and movies, because unlike theater, right? Obviously, it's not an immediate reaction. So, like what you're describing about this kind of like delayed understanding of how much performances and the work itself can affect other people. It's always something about entertainment that I've always really loved is learning that and seeing how uh, the performer reacts to a person's story about why this character, a character like Dawn, would matter to them so much. Like were you like it's clear that you weren't ready necessarily for that part of it, like for Dawn, but like what's that been like beyond this? Like like do you like relish it and want more?
I mean, I love Dawn. Like I feel like a little part of my soul went to her. So I feel very protective over her. So I try not to read any like mean comments about Dawn because
Right.
like I don't want to know. That's gonna hurt my feelings. But yeah, like I being kind of a role model for our young audience is something that's so special to me because I really looked up to, you know, stars from teen dramas when I was growing up. And I really looked up to them and I wanted to be an actress because I was watching them. So when I get fan mail from other young artists being like, I want to be an actor because I watch School Spirits, it really motivates me to keep going.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. Now, of course, people who haven't checked out the show is a show that takes place in a high school, and it is essentially ghosts that are stuck in this high school from various time periods. And the character of Dawn is from the 70s. And I just gotta say, you were perfectly cast. Like you had the perfect eyes for this role. I really do think
Thank you.
your eyes sell the character so well. And of course, I heard you. It took you a while to find the voice for it, but once you did put it all together, what was it like? Did you know once you had found everything? It's like, oh yeah, this is the way I got to play it.
Yeah, I remember when I first got the audition, and I never really made a choice like putting on a voice in an audition
Okay.
ever. And I got the script, and I was like, this girl's got to have something in her voice. Like, I just had this weird gut instinct. And, I'm blessed with these big Tim Burton cartoon eyes, which just help me in characters like this. When they say she's starry-eyed, I'm like, oh, done. I got that down. I don't need to do anything extra. And then I really worked on the voice. It's evolved so much since my first audition, and then I worked with it with Max in my callback. And then even throughout the episodes, I worked with Hannah, our director for the last 2 episodes. She really wanted to kind of drop her voice down, like she almost wore a mask the whole time, and we stripped it away when she really, took into her vulnerability. Um, so really, like the evolution and the arc of Dawn is heard in her voice too.
Yeah, because you're right. Because as I was watching it, she starts off and she's you know, a little bit freer the way she talks, like, just even like what the words that she puts out there are very just like ethereal and just like loosey goosey. And then yeah, as we move through, we see and she comes back around again, and I was like, oh wait a minute, is this like did I was like, did I miss a scene here? Like, does she seems like way more serious all of a sudden, and it was nice to see, because you don't like it's not always something you get to see in a in a character, especially when you only have the scenes that you have within the larger story, because obviously there's a lot of characters in this, and like that's a bit crazy. What is that like, coming in and having that many people to work with? It's not just always going to be you with, say, one or two people. It's, you're interacting with like all the extras and everything in almost every scene.
Yeah, it's actually really crazy. Like, this was my first show where we changed directors every block. So every 2 episodes, we had a new director. So that completely kind of changes because we go off of their vision of the story and their world while you still kind of maintain what you do as your character. So working with all the different directors was so cool. And working with such a large cast, I mean, like in acting school, you do like a scene with another person. In auditions, you do a scene with another person, and then you get on set and there's 8 other people in the scene, and you're like, okay, I gotta show up and do all these work with all these other actors. But I think we were so blessed with School Spirits, and I think a lot of other actors, if they're listening, they can relate to this. Is not every show has like a good team, but School Spirits did, and I really like applaud the executives and the writers and the casting because they pulled such great people together that there was never any like issues on set. Like, we were all so happy, and it was such a joyful place to work.
It's awesome. We got an email in from Ray Y that says, "Hey all, a shout out to RaeAnne, number one School Spirits." All right, thank you for that, Ray. Um, Now, I heard that when you auditioned, that you went, as you, in your own words, you went full on weird in the first audition. So what exactly were you doing in this audition that you kind of went there?
I think it kind of shows in the pilot episode. My first audition was just that scene from the pilot. I didn't
Okay.
know that any of the other stuff was even going to happen in the show till I booked the role and got the script. So I was really just going off of that first pilot scene where Maddie's like running out of the school and popping back in front of Dawn. And the scene was longer in the audition. It got trimmed down, by the time it was in the final edit. But I just like didn't blink at all the whole time. And she had like her voice and she just stared. And I was like, okay, this is either really right or really wrong. And I'm just going to send it in anyways.
Well, clearly it worked, because you got you booked the role, and you had all this fun. When I look at Andrew knows this about me. High school movies, TV shows, I've got a bit of a weak spot. Like everybody's got their media that they really love. I love high school dramas and things like that. Um, for yourself, was that a big part of your life growing up, like watching other childhood show, like not childhood stories, but like high school and middle grade school shows? Was that like a something for you? And if so, do you have one or two in particular that are your standout favorites?
Yeah, I mean, I love teen dramas too. Like, that is definitely like my weakness. So I really feel so lucky that that's kind of the niche I've found in my career too, because that's what I like watching. Um, Growing up, me and my sister loved watching like Teen Wolf and Pretty Little Liars. And it's so funny because Oliver, the showrunner and head writer of School Spirits, wrote Pretty Little Liars. So it's this fun full circle moment that I like never thought would happen in my life, but I did get to have. And then I just finished Stranger Things.
Hmm.
And I'm like obsessed with it. And people always told me, they're like, you gotta watch Stranger Things. And I never did until like 2, 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, this is great. What was I thinking this whole time? I didn't watch it. So I just finished and I'm, yeah, obsessed with it right now.
And so now you're just waiting like the rest of us for the last part of it.
I know, and I can't get over how much those kids grew,
Oh yeah.
especially
Right.
like binge watching it. I was like, oh my gosh, they're like adults now.
Yeah, they better hurry up fast because it seems like they're gonna have mortgages and kids before they shoot the last part. So there you
Yeah.
go. My
But you know,
God.
that's an obvious problem with like high school and school age dramas, you know, like because people age up, which is one of the reasons why, you know, obviously they've always gone with like, you know, 19 to, you know, late 20s, although I guess 90210 had some 30-year-olds, but you know, if
A
you can pull
couple,
it
couple
off,
30-year-olds,
yeah,
yeah.
if you can pull it off, great. That's great for your career. Like I know some, you know, we all know there's some actors out there that just look amazing and they're still 40 and they look like they're 18. Um, but what I was gonna say was with that show, like you do have to be careful of that. Like you guys, you know, like aging out of your characters. You guys, not so much. You guys are great. Like you're at a great age where you can get into that a little bit later. You can keep going. So you don't have. We're not going to get shocked with characters in this show, especially for ghosts. Always a problem
Yeah.
with supernatural characters.
Well, that's hard too, yeah, because if we do end up doing like 7 seasons or something crazy like that, like we're ghosts who don't age too. So, if the show runs for another 10 years, like I don't know how what their plan is
They're
for
gonna
that.
bring in a
But
lot more lights. It's gonna be
yeah.
lights upon lights, big light banks, like every lights everywhere. There's gonna be more
Yeah.
lights than people on that set. That's the way it's gonna be.
And there's going to be a massive moisturizer
Yeah,
budget. Everybody's
yeah.
going to be doing the skincare. Doesn't
Everybody's
matter.
gonna have perfect
Yeah.
skin. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
there you go. It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah.
But of course, outside of acting, like as I mentioned, you did the episode of Virgin River came out last year and things like that. You're also, going into other avenues, like you directed a short film starring Katie Kane, and you're developing a TV series that's based on your life called Bibbidi Bobbidi Bitch.
Yes, you're right.
Can you tell me a little bit about Bibbidi Bobbidi Bobbidi Bitch?
Yeah. So I used to be a princess at kids' birthday parties. Like that was my job for years and years and years. And we always had so many like really funny stories that happened to us when we were princesses. So I always wanted to make a TV show about it because it's this world that people don't really know about that exists. And then people have kids and they have princess birthday parties, so they kind of know what it's like. So I really wanted to tell this story of like behind the scenes of these Disney princesses. Um, so it's a comedy show. It's like bridesmaid style comedy about these three girls that are birthday party princesses and kind of how the fairy tales they portray begin to start taking place in their lives. So that's in development right now. I did the Women in Film and TV Vancouver producer program with that series. And I do work as a producer too, as my kind of other side gig.
Nice. I just gotta say, like the idea of like I'm not sure how like because I know you're still working it and everything and it's in development, but the idea of birthday princesses like work comedy kind of idea is just like because whether or not this is your idea or not, I just picturing like, you know, the three girls afterwards, they're out there, they're talking and they're just sitting back with like a Coors in one hand and a smoke in the other. And they're like, you know, and they go from like that, hey, you know, this is great to like, oh, these kids, man, what's going on? You know, I got
You're exactly right with
yeah.
your with your guesses. That's exactly what it is.
Perfect. I'm on board. I need this. I didn't know I needed it until you described it, and now that you're confirming even what my little crazy brain thought about, yes, yes.
There you go. If you need us to be an extra testimony for this idea, we can send you just the clip of this. You can add it to the package.
Perfect.
There
Thank
you
you
go.
guys.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, I heard you have a love of tarot reading.
hmm
So is that something like are you one of those people that like is like, oh, I've got a problem, I gotta sit down and go to the tarot cards?
Yeah, yeah, it's exactly what I do. And I'm like crying sometimes and I'm like reading the tarot cards and I feel like the angels and the spirits like to mess with me too. So sometimes I'll pull a card that's like about this deck and like they're not like the real cards. They're just like the ads or, the credit cards because I know that they're like chill, don't be doing this right now. And they're trying to tell me that, but I do. I love reading tarot cards. I love reading them for my friends and stuff too, and seeing if I'm reading kind of like accurate descriptions of what they're going through. But yeah, it's kind of just like a fun little hobby of mine. I don't know if I'd ever like professionally read tarot, but just a little hobby.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? You don't know which way your career is going to go. There's a possibility that becoming a side professional tarot reader might be in the cards. You never know.
Well, hey, like you're on set, there's people around. They need their fortunes told. The little tidbits of things that they might need to. These things can happen. But I will commend you for doing it only because honestly, the idea of tarot cards, because I've seen so many horror movies. I've seen so many, and I'm just
Oh,
like,
there was that one tarot last
yeah,
year.
right?
Yeah.
Like exactly. Like it's just, and so the idea of the tarot, like, because I know it's just it's not evil or good. It's just it is what it is, right? I understand that, right? I'm not saying that, but it's just like I've seen way too much of it on the darker side that it kind of like I don't know. I don't know if I don't want to see these cards come up and be like, oh, you're gonna die tomorrow.
I actually pulled for my friend recently, and I pulled her the tower, which is like a tower like catastrophically crumbling, and there's people like flying out of it and fire. And I was like pulled it for her, and I was like, uh-oh. I was like, something really bad's about to happen to you. Something's gonna come crashing down in your life. And then that night, the like sink in the bathroom came crashing down
Oh my God.
and like fell off the wall. And we're like, what happened? And I was like, oh, it was the tower. I knew this was going to happen. The sink was going to fall. So it can be like innocent stuff. It's not like your
Yeah.
life is going to crash down. It's like maybe it's just going to be the bathroom sink, but still.
Trust me,
Hey, that'd be great.
knowing
Yeah.
Green's luck though, the sink crashing down would then crash down onto his foot, which then would have to send him in for another surgery. It would be it would be a mess. It would be a
And on the
shambles.
way to the hospital, I would get in a car accident. Like
Yeah.
yeah. Is it honestly,
Mr.
Ray?
Green's life is a farce. That's basically what you need to know.
Lately, it's only been lately. I don't know what cat I walked past or under a ladder. I don't know. I did something wrong in the last few years. I think we all did with after the pandemic. I think these last 5 years, like let's just get rid of them.
Oh yeah.
Let's just wipe all that away. That's
No,
what I
totally.
think. That would be
Oh my
great.
God.
So yeah,
Now-
if you can do some tarot and bring them, like just like do blind readings for me and just be like only positive things, just send positive vibes my way. That would be awesome, RaeAnne.
There we go. Try to treat your tarot like you do of avoiding the negative comments.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. I didn't see that one. Don't worry about it, Green. You're fine. You're fine. Oh my God.
Perfect.
But I gotta say before we get out of here though, the anti-seance episode where we really got to know Don's character is such an amazing, like the main scene right there where we kind of get Don's origin story. Like you got to run the gamut of emotions in that. You got to do comedy, you got to do heartbreaking drama. You got highs and lows. Like as an audience member, I was sitting there watching. I was really feeling for Don. I was like, because at first it's like, oh, this is fun, and then oh my God. Like, it's just so painful to see at the end of that. It must have been amazing to have, like, that's a gift to actors to get a scene like that, right?
Yeah, I feel so lucky. Like, I hadn't even known that that was part of Dawn's story until I got the episode. Like, no one told me. And, when I was reading for the role, I never did those scenes. So no one knew what was about to happen till we were filming those scenes. I don't know if, like, the producers and directors knew that I could do it too until we were filming because I had never shown them anything. So I really was like, okay, this is game time. And I really put everything I had into that scene and looking back on it. And I'm like, holy crap, I am so grateful, especially as a Canadian actor, to get material like that is like the biggest blessing ever.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
And I gotta say the follow-up scene as well with Peyton at the end of the episode, again, also touching and heartbreaking. And it just, the two of you had such good chemistry in that scene. Like you feel it as a viewer. Like I wasn't expecting to feel those feels watching School Spirits.
Yeah.
I was like, this to me, I thought, oh, fun premise. It's going to be mostly comedy. And for the most part it is. But then you get these moments where we're dealing with dark, deep emotions, and you guys hit it out of the park. You really do.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah, I really attest it to me and Peyton's friendship too. Like we really developed a friendship just as actors and as ourselves throughout the show. And I think that really shined in that last scene. And we did that in one take too. So
Wow.
that everyone always said, they're like, do you know what it's gonna like? Are you curious to see which takes they use in the final cut? I was like, no, I know exactly what it's gonna look like because we did one take of that.
One take.
It was like
awesome.
the end of the day and everyone wanted to go home and they're like, all right, done. So
that's great. Well, that's got to be fantastic as well to hit it done in one, and then so confident that everybody's like, yeah, I want to go home, and we've done it, so why stay here? Let's go. That's pretty cool. Well, I want to thank you so much, RaeAnne, for coming on the program. I look forward to all the stuff you got coming down the pipe, and of course, any project, we'd love to have you back on. You have been a delight.
Oh, thank you guys so much. This was so much fun.
All right, well, have yourself a great night.
All right, good night, guys.
See ya.
Thanks,
Bye.
RaeAnne.